Shalom, I am Rabbi Shaul Praver, and we have the great pleasure of having in the studio today the incredible Frank Sims. Welcome to Rabbi Rock.
Thank you. Nice to be here, Rabbi Rock.
That's the best intro I've done. And you've inspired me by hearing and showing me all of your voices. Let's start right away with those bloopers of yours.
Okay, let's hear some bloopers.
Let's hear some bloopers.
Here we go. Yeah, I'm ready. Come on, get going. Keep reaching for the bed. Hold on. Is I gonna send this one out for a little dog in California and San Diego? Hold on. Get Casey Kasem. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I can't do anything. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to say. There's nothing. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm gonna do it like Bob Goldthwait. Oh, stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express or I'll kill ya! Don LaFontaine. Denzel Washington is... excellent. Don't touch me there! Boy, 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 boy. That'd be fun. All right, baby, I think I got it. Boo. Ah, yeah. Clowns are not fun. The big shoes, the squirting flowers, the hopeless drunk. Oh, squeezy, queasy, disgusting, no surly. However, okay.
My
Yeah, you
goodness,
smell
Frank.
that stink? That's...
How could it be that so many voices come out of one person?
I don't know. A minute and 10 seconds of hilarity. I don't know where it comes from.
No, you say it's hereditary.
It is hereditary. My father, I come from a family of voiceover artists and singers and actors. My father,
Look at that.
my father was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And
Tulsa, wow.
Tulsa, and had a live. He was a disc jockey in a live radio show in Tulsa. It was KVOO at a college, and he was so inspired by his job that he said, "I'm going to drive to New York in a station wagon, and I'm going to do an interview, or rather an audition, and see if I get anything."
Sure,
So he drove a
yeah,
station wagon
give
up
it
to
a
New
shot.
York City, and he auditioned for a show back in the 50s called The Gary Moore Show. It had Durward Kirby and Denise Lore and introduced Carol Burnett.
Wow.
And he won the audition.
And he was also the voice in I Love Lucy, the narrator?
He was a narrator. He said, on the I Love Lucy show. And Mr. Candid Camera himself, Alan Funt. And so he was very busy in the 50s and the 60s doing all that. So I used to beg him to take me to the studios because I knew what he did, and I thought that was very exciting. And so he would bring me into the studios. Right now, matter of fact, the studio that David Letterman is filmed in was the same studio that I Love Lucy and the Merv Griffin show.
Is that right? Wow.
Were taped in the very same studio. So I was there way back in the 50s and 60s when I was a little boy, 6, 7, 8, 10 years old, and I was so passionate about what I saw. I loved to see all the lights. I loved to see the musical instruments. They had a big band in those days. Now you look at the David Letterman show, and there's like 6 or 8 pieces. When those days they had 20 or 30 or 40
bands,
guys,
yeah.
big band. And I was just, I couldn't believe it. I would look at the shiny chrome of the drums and the cymbals and the guitars and the big, huge sound of all the horns, the brass, the trumpets and the trombones, and it was fascinating to me. And I said, I would love to be here. I would love to do this.
And you arrived.
And I arrived.
Now, you're probably most famous for the Kool-Aid Man.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And I record those things just about once a year. We do maybe 3 or 4 spots, and then they play them on television for the rest of the year. And so they ask me in, usually in January, and I go in there and I record them. And then they have fortunately, there's only 3 or 4 lines that I have to do. And
You've done some stuff for Folgers Coffee, yeah?
yeah, Folgers Coffee. I've sung many, and I sing, as we talked earlier, I sing in different characters. I've sung as Arlo Guthrie for Folgers. I've sung as Dr. John. I've sung as the Beach Boys. So they ask me, they compose a song, and the musicians play it in that genre, in that milieu, and they ask me to sing it, and I have the words. And then, so I'm just asked to recall and sort of get in the mind and the body of Arlo Guthrie, or Dr. John, or the Beach Boys, or whomever, Bob Dylan, Neil Young, any number of people they asked me to
That's interesting.
imitate.
Interesting that you said Arlo Guthrie because he's due to be on our show as well.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful.
He's a friend of one of our congregants.
That's wonderful. Oh, that's wonderful. He's been around a long, long time, and I think he still performs live. I think.
Oh,
he's still,
sure. We saw him up by the the railroad tracks up there in the little church.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
He's really a great guy. Now, how would you, if you were Bob Dylan, do the Folgers commercial?
Well, let's see, you gotta think like Bob Dylan, so you gotta think about what he's gonna sound like and what he talks like and how he does it. So, like I go, Folgers coffee, Folgers coffee. So you just kind of try to get in the personality of the guy who you're speaking about.
Right. Now, you've sung with, you've been the background vocals for Madonna. You've done Billy Joel.
Billy Joel, David Bowie,
David
Carly
Bowie.
Simon, Elvis Costello, The Simple Minds, Cyndi Lauper, many people.
You know, I'd like to, if we could, inside hear River of Dreams. And that's, you know, I've heard that song. We've all heard that song. And we never knew, you know, we don't know who the guy is doing the background vocals.
In fact, my brother's with me, brother George, who now lives in Hawaii. George and I sang on that. And the funny thing is, when you go into a recording studio, what you'll do is they'll say, sing the low part.
Yeah.
Now sing the bass part. Now sing the baritone.
Yeah.
Now sing the alto. Now sing the tenor.
The tracks.
And then they'll say multiple track them. So as you can imagine, we sound like, you know, dozens and dozens of people.
Right.
And so that's what you do by simply multi-tracking, and at all those different layers, you can do the high parts and the low parts and everything in between, so you end up sounding like, you know, 15, 20, 30 different people. But it's all the miracles of modern recording.
It's incredible. It's put a lot of people out of work.
It gives us work, though.
That's right. You go right in where there's an angle. So can we hear River of Dreams inside? Let's play it, okay? So that first part, of course, is Billy, like, whatever the
Doing
line
a little
was.
solo line over it,
Yeah.
and then of course,
And then it's you doing the...
my brother and I, in the middle of the, I'll go walking in the middle of the, yeah, we just do that over and over and over.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's a
We
fabulous
recorded
song.
that in Long Island, as a matter of fact. And a funny story about that is we did that recording session, and my brother George drove. We drove in a car, and I was feeling very down. I was feeling a little bit ill, and it turned out I had pneumonia.
Oh my God.
I went to the doctor, and I said, you know, I better go to the doctor. I went, and he said, like, well, you've got single pneumonia. I said, I can't believe it. I just performed yesterday. So what you do is when you get to, as we talked about it earlier, you forget everything, and you perform, and all that stuff just goes away, and you somehow your mind just opens up into knowing what you have to do, and you focus, and you give it all your heart, and you give it what you have to do, and then all that other things just dissipates. It used to be also, we'd sing when my brother and I sang with David Bowie in these concerts, and we'd sing for maybe 60, 80, 100, 300, 400,000 people on a stage, and the speakers are almost as loud as a jet engine. There was about 120 decibels, and you're talking about major volume, ear-splitting volume. And we'd be singing with just the microphones, with drums and guitars and horns, screaming, and speakers on the sides, speakers from above us, speakers behind us. It's just like you're in a wall of sound. And so after we finish a concert, my brother, I don't know about my brother, but I know I'd be hoarse like this. I couldn't even talk. It was just unbelievable. I couldn't talk. And yet, I would go back to the hotel and just not do anything special, you know, trying to take care of my voice, try to rest it. The next night, right back up to speed. My voice is right, because it's like, you know, you have to be there. You know, you've got to do that. You have to rise to the occasion. So you just do.
And the adrenaline also.
And the adrenaline, so you know you do.
Tell us about these big artists that you work with, Madonna, like some things that we wouldn't know. I mean, of course, the viewer, view these songs as entertainment, and we only know what we see on the screen, and it is entertainment. But the people themselves are different, obviously, than the persona or the icon.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Actually, in many cases, if you really look deeply, the persona is really, when they act or when they come into the studio, you can almost sense it. For instance, in the case of David Bowie is an internationally revered human being.
Even when you've made it as you have, and you've really been working in this field for some time,